Alrighty guys, hi, it's Amanda. Welcome back to my channel. I hope you're having a great day today. As always, if you're new or returning and you haven't yet already, please be sure you're subscribed to the channel. If you like the video, give the video a big thumbs up. If you have any comments, questions, or concerns, leave them down in the comment section. I will try my best to see you there. So today's video is going to be a quick get ready with me. I am going to also be doing a first impressions on the Natasha Denona Zendo palette. I have not yet used this. I've been wanting to use it since I got it, so I'm super excited to use that today. And I might dabble in the JD Glow Shadow Peachy Keen, depending on how this look goes. So if you're interested, keep watching. If you're not interested in makeup, I totally get it. I have some commentary content that's already out, and I have some coming out soon, so stay tuned for that. Otherwise, let's get on into it. So I'm going to start off with priming my eyes, which I'm going to use the Milani eyeshadow primer. And I'm just going to take a little bit and prime each eye. And while the eyeshadow primer is setting, I am going to moisturize my face using the Milk Makeup Vegan Milk Moisturizer. This is something I always try to do if I'm doing my eyes first, is I try to put on my face moisturizer while I'm doing my eye makeup. That way it has some time to really sit on the skin and sink down in before I start applying other makeup products on top of it. So I'm going to let that sink all the way in, make sure I get all over. Once that seems to be on, I am going to check to make sure that the eyeshadow primer is ready for eyeshadow, which it is not tacky anymore. So with this palette, let me open it so you guys can see. There are only two matte shades. So you only have these two shades, which are matte. So I'm going to start with this shade, deepen with this shade, and then I am probably going to go over the lid with this shade, and which is like a minty color, and my shirt is kind of a forest green color, so hopefully it goes well. If not, I can probably work around it, and I might put a little bit of this JD Glow shade to lighten the area. So I have a couple of brushes already picked out. I'm going to go in with a fluffy brush and go into that lightest shade, which it may translate, it may not. And I'm just going to, like I do for all of my makeup looks, I'm going to start on the outer third of my eye and then just work it into my crease. And then since this shade is a very light shade, it's very close to my skin tone, I am going to go in with a couple of layers to just build the shade up a little bit. So that, I don't even know if that's showing. It's a very light peach shade. So I'm going to do the same on the other eye really quick. Just place it on that outer third to outer half of my eye and then pull it through the crease. And I don't know if I've talked about it before. I typically am a windshield wiper blender. I struggle to do the little circles, so I typically just windshield wiper, and as I go up higher, I lighten the pressure that I'm placing on my eye, so it helps give that good fade. I'm not the best at blending. It's something I still work on all the time. It's a skill that I think even if you're good at it, you're constantly trying to perfect it. So if you're just starting or you're struggling with makeup, don't worry too much about blending. Don't let that be the death of you. I'm going to go in with a slightly less dense, smaller brush, blending brush, and I'm going to dip into that other matte shade that we have and place that on the outer half. So I'm going in just a little bit more than I typically do since we only have 2 shades to work with here. And I am going to really try to pull this out a little bit and then not take it as high as I did the other shade in my crease. And if you're new here, I don't take my crease shades all the way in. I only take them in to about right there. A lot of that is because the inner corners of my eyes, I struggle with holding pigment. Even if I place the pigment straight there, it will not stick. So I try to avoid pulling my eyeshadow all the way in for that reason. This eye, for some reason, is watering. So we'll see if that affects how this eye look turns out on this eye. So again, I'm just kind of placing it on the outer half and then I'm going to drag it in. Try to make sure it's blend. It's hard to blend when your eye starts watering. It is hard to blend. This is a very soft brush, but it's still, since my eye's already watering, I don't know if it's the eyeshadow or if it's just because I haven't put makeup on in a couple of days, if that's why it's wanting to be finicky. So I am going to go in just a little bit more with that same shade, just on the outer third to see if I can deepen this up by adding a little bit more color here. And then just trying to blend around where I'm putting the color so it doesn't have harsh lines, even though it's the same color. If you pack it on in one spot and you don't slightly blend out around it, it will still show like some harshness. So I would like to deepen it up just a little bit more, but due to my eye watering, I am not going to risk it because I think what we have so far is looking good. So I am going to take the original brush and go back into that really light peach shade and just very gently go over the edges to get a good gradient look and to try and reduce any harshness that may be there. If you are really good at blending, this is a step that you probably don't have to do and can avoid. But I'm always very quick about my eyeshadow, even if I sit here and I try to do which I do try to make sure every look looks good, but don't always take like the longest time to get a good look, like using the shadows, if that makes sense. So now I am going to take my brush that I always do for shimmers and see if it can perform with a brush. I am gonna spritz it with some of my setting spray. I'm using the Fenty Beauty one and just giving it a couple of squirts. Don't want my brush to be soaking wet. And then I'm gonna dip into this middle shade. Man, that's really fragrant. Every time I spray it, I forget. And I'm going to place this everywhere we don't have a shade. So, and once I get to where my shadow begins, I try to be more gentle and tap and slightly drag so the shimmer shade blends in, not seamlessly, but blends in really well to the matte shade. And this shadow actually is working extremely well with a brush with a little bit of setting spray. I'm sure it would perform a little bit better if I used my finger. But out of curiosity, I tried the brush first, and it has pretty good opacity. So I'm just going to quickly blend this over just a little bit. So that is the look with that shade. I mean, this is a different look for me for sure, but it's not as intense and like fearful as I thought I was going to be of this shade being on my lid. But I am going to go into the JD Glow shade Peachy Keen and just pick up a little bit of it. And I don't know how these perform with a brush. It is going on the brush. And I'm just going to go right in the center with that. Which in real life, I don't know if it's translating on camera, does kick it up a lot. It does provide, the shades are not very different. They're actually pretty complementary of each other. But it really just brightened that eyeshadow up quite a bit. I am going to go ahead and just drag it through this part as well. Those two shades between the Natasha Denona and this eyeshadow this is a very, very pretty color. I really like that. So I'm just going to make sure it's everywhere, and then I'm going to take the darker color and I'm just going to gently tap whatever is left on this brush on that harsh line where the glitter is to not let it be so harsh. This eye's a little bit worse. I think it's because this eye's watering. So that is using the Natasha Denona Zendo palette and over topping it with Peachy Keen from JD Glow. I really like how this look turned out, even though these are not colors I would typically wear. I am gonna go ahead off of camera and finish up the eye look. I'm gonna do some eyeliner and some mascara and do the rest of my face, and I will be back with the final look and tell you my final impressions on these two products. Alrighty guys, so this is the final look. I did go a little bit all out with my makeup. I wanted to try and match the eyeshadow with my face. Like, I don't typically go this hard on my makeup, but I did want to match the eye look, and I felt that going kind of all out and putting the most effort into my base as well as my eyes will pull together a really good look. And this is what I've come out with. My final thoughts on my first impressions of the Natasha Denona Zendo palette and the JD Glow is these are both really good products. I absolutely loved the mini formula. I have almost all of them, so that's no surprise there. The lightest shade is very light, so you may have a struggle with getting it to show depending on your complexion, but the other matte shade is enough to where I got some dimension out of just using that shade and packing it on. The shade that drew me to the palette, the middle mint shade, is not as dark as I thought it was going to be, which for me actually plays out well because dark colors on my eyes kind of freak me out just a little bit. But on top of that, I wanted to use the JD Glow shade. So I went in with Peachy Keen, which is a pink color, but it has a very strong gold green reflect. So it has complemented this shade so well on my lid that I could not be happier. This is definitely outside of my comfort zone as far as colors and color combinations, but I think it turned out really well. Let me know what you guys think down below. As far as, let me finish with the review. I would definitely purchase this. I know I'm biased to Natasha Denona. I really enjoy her formula. If you watch my Trichrome palette review, if that's up on the look I did with that, I prefer her minis to her larger palette formulas. I really do. I don't know if they're formulated different. I don't know what the difference is, but every mini of hers that I use, I absolutely love. I have no struggles with. I don't feel overwhelmed, but with the Trichrome palette, I was not as pleased with it as I thought I would be. And the Trichrome shades, to me, the one that I used didn't outdo the shimmers in these, but I've only used one, so take that with a grain of salt. However, this shade, this is the only one I have used. It's the only one I have touched. I haven't even swatched the other ones yet. And I can tell you I will probably be purchasing the rest of their Galaxy shadows as soon as they're in stock and I am able to accommodate purchasing more product. But I love it. It is so pretty. It is so transformative. I don't know if like the full shimmer is showing on camera or not. I did go into my inner corner to kind of spice it up a little bit. I went in with the Urban Decay heavy metal glitter liner in Pyro. And then my eyeliner that I used was the Fenty Beauty Fly Liner. I did try to tightline my upper waterline with the Urban Decay 24/7 black liner. I used a NYX white liner on my bottom eyes, which I don't typically wear liner in my bottom eye. I don't typically put anything on my bottom eyes anymore. For my face products, if you're interested, I will try to remember to link them, but I probably won't, I use the Fenty Beauty Liquid Foundation in Pro Filter in 150. That's the foundation shade I am. I use the Tatcha Liquid Silk Canvas as my primer. I went in with the Fenty Beauty Butter Setting Powder to set my face. Then I went in with the Fenty Beauty shade In the Sun. And then I used the blush and the highlight from this little NARS palette. That was a Christmas palette called Orgasm Infatuation. And then I typically don't wear any color on my lip, but I went in with this Sephora little sample that I have. That's a good nude shade for me in 02 Nothing But Nude. And I did again use the Becca Brighten Under Eye Concealer. This stuff is the bomb. If I haven't put up that other video where I did my first impression on that. So we are just about through all of my first impressions. I still have the two Pat McGrath palettes that I got, and I don't know if those are gonna have to be like just randomly thrown in because I don't know if I can pull a full look with either one of them to do a full first impression like I have with everything else. But there may be another first impression. If you have any questions or comments about any of the products I've talked about thus far, leave them down below. Otherwise, I am going to go ahead and leave for the day. I hope you have a good evening, day or night, wherever you are. Bye, guys.